In this video, we examine the question, retirees, should you use your 401k to pay off your credit card debts? Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
One of the most common questions facing retirees is, should they use a major source of retirement assets, usually a 401k, to pay off high-yielding credit card debt? This video delves deeply into this question and provides strong evidence as to why you should consider using your 401k to pay off your high-yielding credit card debt. Stick around to the end because I'm going to provide you with the poll results for a survey we ran 2 days ago right here on YouTube. There were over 3,000 respondents, and we asked them the question, retirees, would you use your 401k to pay off your credit card debt? Now let's get into it. But before we do, please make sure you click subscribe and notifications so that you get alerted the next time I post a video. I post about twice a week. Let's get into the basic math, because without knowing the numbers, we can't actually get into and examine the other non-financial aspects of this decision. Some of the items in the math examples that we're going to use may or may not apply to you, but they are pretty common sources of income and, of course, your credit card expense for retirees. Let's talk about the two elements in the example. The first is the 401k balance. We're assuming a 401k balance of $150,000, and we assume that that 401k balance receives a 5% return. 5% is not uncommon for a target return for a conservative portfolio like a retirement portfolio. 5% of $150,000 is $7,500 per year or $625 per month. Let's also assume that the credit card rate is 14.99%, 15%. 15% is on the low side for credit card rates. Typically they range from 15 to 21%, but we'll take the low end of the range just for this example. 15% of $40,000 is $6,000 in interest charges per year or $500 a month, and that is, of course, before any repayment of principal on the credit card. Finally, let's also assume that the retiree is receiving Social Security of $1,400 a month and a modest pension of $1,200 per month. So doing the math, the cash flow coming in is $1,400 plus $1,200 plus $625, that's $3,225. And cash going out is $500 per month before any repayment of principal. Assuming that you're paying $500 a month in interest, that also assumes that you're not repaying your credit card, so the credit card repayment amount, the actual principal payment, is going to be quite small. The retiree's take home before taxes then is $3,225 less $500, that's $2,725. Now let's assume that the retiree took $40,000 from their $150,000 balance and paid off their credit card. I will note that taking $40,000 from $150,000 would be quite scary to anyone, whether they're retired or not. So the new math for the amount coming in from the 401k is $110,000 times 5% divided by 12 for 12 months. That's $458 a month. The $1,400 a month payment from Social Security doesn't change, nor does the $1,200 a month pension payment. Finally, there's no cash going out to make payments on credit cards, so the retiree receives $3,058. $3,058 is greater than $2,725, so the retiree is $333 better off by paying off the credit card with a 401k. But if it was just simple math, we'd be done. The fact is there's a lot more that needs to be considered. So think of repaying the credit card as a $40,000 investment that pays you 15%. That cash that you're not spending on your credit card interest, you can spend on something else. But there's more. All investments have at least two components to them, risk and return. If a retiree looks at their 401k, the risk that they don't hit 5% in any given year is reasonable given the fluctuations in the market. Frankly, on most conservative portfolios, there's a risk that you're going to miss it, of course, but there's also a benefit that you might outperform it. But generally speaking, those that are in retirement don't want wild fluctuations in their returns on their 401k. Now let's look at the risk on the credit card. By paying off your credit card, which charges 15%, the risk that you're still going to have to pay 15% is zero. So that 15% goes to you. Some of you are saying, yes, but Jeff, if I'm paying 15% interest on my credit card, what would stop me from taking that balance and transferring it over to a 0% credit card? Two things. The first is that if you were going to do that, more than likely you would have already done it. The second is that 0% credit cards do have a lot of catches that most people don't fully understand. Some of them have a clawback feature that basically means that if you don't pay off the credit card in the 12 or 18 or 24 month period, they get to charge you all of the interest that they would have charged you at the higher rate. So if there's $10 left on the card at the end of 24 months, you owe interest on that credit card as if you had had the entire balance out at the higher interest rate for the entire period. Getting back to the risk that you're not going to get your 15% return, is there a risk that the credit card company will let you off the hook? No, that's not what they do. The second point is that on the credit card, you will get 3 times the return for the ultra low risk that you're assuming that you would receive on the 401k on average. What could make it even better? Well, by paying off your credit card debt, your credit score could actually go up. Credit scores are based in part by the availability of unused credit lines. It also frees up your credit lines for emergencies by having a balance on your credit card, that same balance you can't spend twice. And finally, you avoid the irritation factor of paying someone else 15% when you could be keeping it for yourself. If it's that easy, why wouldn't everybody do it? Well, that's a good question. There are reasons why you wouldn't want to use your 401k assets to pay off your credit card. The first is that you lose some level of flexibility. If you take the money from your 401k and use it to pay off your credit card, you can't use that money for other things. You could argue that the credit line will be free for other things, but that sort of defeats the purpose of paying off your credit card. The next is a self-control issue, and this is actually quite big. People that have credit card debt outstanding and they transfer them over to the 0% interest credit cards often run the free credit lines back up on the old credit card. By keeping the $40,000 in this example on the old credit card, it's better than charging up the old credit card again after you've paid it off. And the last point is some retirees just have a moral issue with this. They think that paying off credit card debt with your life savings or part of your life savings is just the wrong thing to do. I will point out that the math doesn't change on 15% credit card debt and 5% returned 401ks, no matter how moral someone is on this point. They'll still pay 15% on the credit card debt, even if they are the most honorable person in the world, or not. Now let me show you something really interesting. I told you at the beginning of this video that I ran a poll on YouTube. In fact, I ran 2. The first poll I ran, I asked the question, if you had an extra $1,000 a month, would you use that $1,000 to fund your retirement plan, your 401k, or would you use it to pay down a heavy balance on your credit card? 83% of the people responded and said they would use the money to pay down credit card debt. By the way, on that poll, there were approximately 3,000 respondents. I ran it 2 weeks ago, so it was quite complete. This group of respondents felt that it was more important to rid themselves of high-yield credit card debt than it was to put money into their 401k to help secure their future. 4 days ago, I asked the question, retirees, would you use 401k assets to pay off credit card debt? Basically the same question asked from a different perspective. 70% of the respondents said no. Of course, there is a different tone in each one of the questions. Question number 1, would you use extra money to pay down debt or fund your retirement? By paying down debt, there's a sense of responsibility or a feeling of responsibility or acting responsibility. Versus question number 2, would you use your 401k to pay off credit card debt? There's a feeling or an undertone of irresponsibility, even though they are very similar in terms of the outcome for the retiree. I'd love to know what you think about using your 401k to pay off credit card debt. Just let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please make sure you click subscribe and notifications so that you get alerted the next time I post a video. Retirement information is changing fast, and I work very hard to get what's out there in here for you. Also, check out this video on what to do if you're 60 years old and you have no retirement savings. This is Jeff Schmidt. Thanks for watching.